Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we are back. Did y'all miss us? Or yeah or no? Anyway, man, so good to be back, man. Another episode of the Rooted in Sports podcast. Your boy Swan Dunn in the building. King Tiberius will be here in literally a split second. As a matter of fact, he'll probably pop up on your screen at any moment now. But we just want to go ahead and get things started. Obviously, the NFL season is in full effect. We just finished up. Well, tonight we'll be finishing up week 6. So we're gonna hit you with a little bit of week 6 recap. We're gonna kind of hone in on a few games. We'll go over every game, but we're gonna kind of really hone in on a few games, and then we'll give you a week 7 predictions. Some really good, really interesting games going on this Sunday coming up. A really good game tonight between the Dallas Cowboys and the LA Chargers. So yeah, we're gonna tackle this whole thing. So yeah, I'm not gonna prolong the festivities. We're gonna get into this handy dandy intro. King Tiberius will be on in just a second. And yeah, let's get to it. Yes, sir, ladies and gents. Man, I love our intro. I don't care what nobody say. Love our intro. But once again, man, it's really good to be back, man. We have to take a little quick hiatus and do a few things here and there. But it's good to be back. Shout out to Bo. What's going on, brother? Always a pleasure to have you around. Um, but yeah, man, we're gonna go in and get into it. Like I said, NFL week 6 recap and then week 7 predictions, and then we'll kind of hone in on a couple games. It was some really, really interesting outcomes yesterday. There are no longer any undefeated teams in the league. Um, and I think it's fair to say, I think it's in the eye of the beholder, but I don't think you can really say that there's any one or two dominant teams. And that includes the two teams that we had in the Super Bowl last year, even the Chiefs, who I believe the Chiefs are 4-1 or 5-1. I think they only have one loss. But there really isn't a dominant team this year. And I think we just seen that with the Eagles going down to the Jets, and we'll get to that in a little while. And then also with the Niners in a very, very, very surprising loss to the Cleveland Browns with backup quarterback PJ Walker. So it was some really interesting outcomes. It really brings a lot to light as far as now. I think you have to look at a team. There's one, two. I think there's 3, 5, or 4 or 5 and 1 teams. Anyway, usual suspects you might predict in the Niners, in the Eagles, maybe in the Chiefs. But don't look now. The Detroit Lions are 5-1 as well. And I just want to make sure I give them a little bit of love because they're not being talked about. Jared Goff is having a heck of a season. So I mean we're gonna get to that in a second. You know what I'm saying? I just want to give you a little precursor. But I guess I'll go ahead and we can get into some of these week 1 scores with some of these week 1 games. Um, and I guess I'll jump right in, start with the Thursday night game, which had the Denver Broncos losing to the Kansas City Chiefs 19-8. Um, I mean, this was a kind of a defensive game. Not much to say. I think it's crazy that things are starting to come full circle for the Chiefs, where now we're starting to see them be able to win games defensively. The Chiefs, they have a little bit of an issue though, and I mean that from the skill positions and specifically the wide receiver position. They don't have of the guys they have on their team. If you take, I don't know, Tony, Sky Moore, they may not have they might struggle to have a number 3 on a good team. and that's just being kind as far as the wide receivers they have. I mean, if God bless Travis Kelce, you know what I'm saying? If not for Travis Kelce saving the day, and I don't have it in front of me, I think he had 8 catches for like 121 or something of that nature. But I mean, God bless not he had 9 for 124, excuse me. I mean, if not for Travis Kelce, man, I mean, they got the kid Rashee Rice, who has had some games. He's had a couple, he showed some flashes in a couple of their games early on this year. But I mean, seriously, I don't know if they have a maybe Valdez Scantling. I don't know if they have a wide receiver that's a number 3 on a good team. And the fact that they are 5-1, I guess it's a blessing. I guess I guess as they say, you'd rather win or win ugly than lose pretty. So I guess it's a blessing to still be 5-1 despite the lackluster wide receiver play that they've had. But hey, what can you say? And then the Denver Broncos, man, I mean, I'm going to read a stat line from Russell Wilson. 13 of 22, 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And you know what? I think it's obvious. Russell Wilson isn't Seattle Russell Wilson. He's not the Russell Wilson of old, and he'll probably never regain that form. That's pretty obvious. But I can't put this all on him. I can't. Although this was a pretty solid game defensively for the Denver Broncos, this game, their defense has been downright terrible this year. I mean, arguably, for a team coming into the season that you probably would have thought was possibly a top 5 defense, they have been arguably the worst defensive team in the league this season. I'm talking about the Denver Broncos. So you couple that with the fact that, and I have to say it, we held Sean Payton in such this high regard and such high esteem, as because he's won a Super Bowl, and he coached Drew Brees all those years, and did that job in New Orleans. But I think now it's time that you just gotta kind of be frank about him. He's not doing his best work here. He's simply not doing his best work. For an offensive guy, the offense is downright anemic. Okay. I mean, this was a bad loss, but I'll go back a week prior. He talked all that nonsense about Nathaniel Hackett in the offseason, only to go up there, to play the Jets, to play Nathaniel Hackett's new team. Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator over there, only to go play his new team and get his tail handed to him, as he's been doing all season. They're 1-5, and even the one win was a gift because my sorry Bears couldn't hold on to a lead. The only probably arguably the only team that's worse than them, the Bears and maybe New England. I'll get to that in a minute. But Sean Payton's not doing his best job, and it makes you, looking at this job that he's doing now and considering what we expected of them, and it's not even so much, personally, I'm not even going to so much say that I expected them to make the playoffs this year, but I expected some progression. I expected there to be an improvement on last year. I expected to see Russell Wilson's play and the play of that offense improve. I expected Russell to not be Seattle Russ, but be a little more closer to that Seattle Russ. And that just simply has not happened. And it really makes you, like, in all honesty, their offense probably looks worse this year than it did last year with Nathaniel Hackett. And I could have never imagined that, ever. And it really makes you kind of take a close look at Sean Payton, and really makes you look at the job that he did in New Orleans. And granted, he does have a Super Bowl ring, but let's be honest, guys. We can name 2 or 3 seasons where his teams flat out dropped the ball in the playoffs. Okay, we can talk about the Minnesota Miracle. We can, and granted, he was on the wrong end of a pass interference that wasn't called against the Rams, but he still had his opportunity. They had the ball first in overtime, and they couldn't score. You know what I'm saying? They had the lead in that game and gave it up. Okay. Actually, and then I think he came back and lost to Minnesota again the next year, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, just looking at the job that he's done, it really kind of makes you take a step back and say to yourself, I mean, does Sean Payton really deserve to be put in that upper echelon of coaches, of head coaches that we tend to do? So, hey, I don't know, and I didn't even mean to go that long talking about them, but I just a couple things I had to get off my chest about that. But I'm gonna move along. I'm not even going waste time talking about my sorry ass Bears. Okay. Minnesota beat the Bears yesterday, 19-13. I'm not even going to waste the time. All I'm going to say, I'm going to keep it simple. 2 words, hashtag Caleb Williams. As a matter of fact, 4 words, because right now we have the top 2 picks in the draft. Hashtag Caleb Williams. Hashtag Marvin Harrison Jr. That's all I got to say about the Bears. As for Minnesota, I mean, I'll tell you what, they might be in play for another drafting a quarterback next year as well. And I'll just, you know what I'm saying, leave it at that. Moving on. Early game that took place yesterday morning, and I'm sure Bo is still here. Speaking of, we're not taking Drake May, okay? If we're number 1, we're taking Caleb, man. I don't know what you got against Caleb. We're taking Caleb. But moving right along. Well, first of all, let me get my boy in here. What's going on?
What's up, man?
Hey, look, I'm just rambling along. I forgot I needed to. I needed to. I'm just going.
Hey, look, I was like, hey, talk your shit, King.
Anyway, King Tiberius in the building. You know what I'm saying? A few technical difficulties, but you know, we persevere around here.
Yeah, we back, man. After a busy ass September.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, we back in full effect to kind of catch up on some of the season. As he knows, I had to take a grieving week last week. Both my teams embarrassed me, which one of them already embarrassed me this week. So, you know,
go Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Biden Irish. But yeah. I had just got into the Ravens and Titans. Obviously the Ravens. The game was played over in London. The Ravens end up coming out on top in this game, 24-16. I think this is a game that Ryan Tannehill ends up getting hurt and they end up bringing in Malik Willis only to bring Tannehill back in, only for Tannehill to go back out.
Ankle, yeah.
I mean, Lamar Jackson, pretty solid game. 21 for 30, 223 through the air, TD and interception, and he ran for another 62 yards. I mean, for me, obviously, this was just Baltimore winning the game that they should and they were supposed to win against a team that's simply not on their level. I have to give a shout out to them because, I mean, over the past few years, I think the injury bug has hit this team like nothing I'm not sure I've ever really seen.
Probably like, them and the 49ers.
Them and the Niners, yeah. And I mean, consistently every year is just injury after injury after injury. But I mean, we can say we can have all the criticism, and I say this all the time. We can have all the criticisms that we want about Lamar Jackson and his game and his play from the pocket, which to me this year he has definitely shown a lot of improvement in that area.
He sure has.
But with that being said, one thing you can't say about him is that he's not a winner, because when 8 plays, Baltimore wins. They simply find a way. Injuries in the backfield, injuries to wide receivers, injuries on the defense, injuries in the secondary. As long as number 8 is out there, they flat out win. And this is another case where they proved that once again.
And I mean, I got a chance to catch a little bit of it. Obviously, it was the early game, but I went back and checked some of it out. They're finding ways to win right now. But Baltimore struggled in the red zone, which was not a problem week 1 to 4. I agree. They're finding ways to put things
Well, they own like
together.
the third or fourth running back, so I mean that would pose an issue in the red zone.
Exactly. The receiving talent, I guess, hasn't popped like they thought it would. Odell hasn't looked anything close to maybe what he's been in the past. As a matter of fact,
I think Zay Flowers has. I think Zay Flowers has been a pretty solid surprise. Yeah,
Zay Flowers has been their number one guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the truth. And then they've had some untimely drops. So you could look back on a few games and say Lamar's numbers would probably be substantially better if these guys catch some of these passes.
Especially last week when they dropped about 7 or 8. I mean, just terrible.
Exactly. So that is kind of really what's going on with them right now. And on the defensive side, I think they're still trying to find a consistent pass rush. But, I mean, Tennessee was a good opponent because Tennessee's a feisty team. Mm-hmm. I don't see them winning. I mean, maybe I don't see them winning more than 6 games this year. And
but they're gonna play. They're gonna play tough though.
They're tough. They're Mike Vrabel coach team, so they're gonna fight you tooth and nail. But I think this was a good game for Baltimore to go into overseas, tough environment, and just go and grab a win and just get some progress and get a better idea of what they want to do on both sides of the ball moving forward.
Where Bo says Clowney has been the best pickup for us, 9 pressures, 2 sacks. Yeah, he did have I actually noticed that. I was looking at something not too long ago, and I did notice that he had a heck of a game yesterday. Good pickup for you guys. And you're welcome for Roquan Smith as well.
Hey, look, let me find out Jadeveon Clowney trying to reach his potential. Mr.
Hey, he might get a double-digit sack season for once, right?
Yeah, okay.
We gonna move right. We gonna move right along, right? Alive, moving right along. The Washington Commanders defeated the Atlanta Falcons yesterday, 24-16. This was a game that I kind of, especially in the second half and in that fourth quarter, I kind of had my eye on. And it seemed like down the stretch, especially in that fourth quarter, Desmond Ridder really kind of unraveled. I watched, he threw 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter. And this was at a time when they had a chance to come back and tie. Actually, I think the last interception he threw was in the red zone, if I'm not mistaken. So really kind of unraveled. If you look at his numbers, I mean, high yardage, he threw for over 300, 2 touchdowns. Like I said, 3 interceptions. 2 of those came in the fourth quarter during 2 drives in which they had a chance to come down and potentially tie the game up. So this is a solid win for the Washington Commanders, especially after their showing Thursday night against my Bears and possibly losing to probably the worst team in the league. For them to come back, go on the road and just kind of put that showing behind them and to come out and get this win, I think it's really impressive of them. And that this now puts them at 3-3, kind of keeps them, right at eye level, gives them a chance to continue on as far as possibly getting one of those last few playoff spots. This drops Atlanta to 3-3 in a very winnable division for them in the NFC South. But yeah, real quick, man, did you have any thoughts on this game?
Well, first of all, I will say this every single week. Arthur Smith does not know what to do with that talent. I mean, this is probably the best game that he's got out of it. Drake London can do this every single game. And I'm not just being biased because I'm a USC guy. He's that good. And then you're saying Kyle Pitts, he's a mismatched freaking nightmare. Kyle Pitts should average 120 yards a game because who are you going to match up on him? And the fact that you have him and you have Drake London and you have Bijan Robinson and you have Cordero Patterson, you have all these different type of
Algier.
Tyler Algier, exactly. You have all these different type of weapons that I think that Arthur Smith doesn't really understand how to utilize because he's just more of a basic run scheme type of guy. Remember, he was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee before taking this job. But as far as Desmond Ridder, I agree. He did unravel. He did throw some late picks. And I know the jury is still out on whether he could be a starting quarterback in this league. But I'll tell you one thing: having Arthur Smith as a play caller definitely hasn't helped him. Because
Agreed.
so and I could argue this is the crazy part because Bijan is special. We agree on that.
I think in
Bijan is
and
special.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I guess I didn't believe in him. I didn't have the fact. I didn't see what I guess everyone else saw coming out of Texas, but I mean, goddamn, he's already proven me wrong.
I heard the best comp for him, and at first I kind of scoffed at it, but then when I looked at it, I said, "This is exactly right." He is a bigger, stronger, more physical Christian McCaffrey.
Now that's high praise. That's high praise.
He can run routes like a wide receiver. And you can move him all over your scheme. He's fluid. He's powerful. There's nothing he can't do as a running back. And this is a kid that's 6'2", 6'1", 220 pounds. But I say all that to say, you can make an argument that Arthur Smith isn't utilizing Bijan Robinson to his fullest potential.
Yeah.
And this is a running back. This is supposed to be your bread and butter. So not to go too long on the Falcons, I just feel like Arthur Smith is doing this team a disservice. Their defense is actually surprisingly very feisty. They're keeping them in games, so it's not like they're just getting drug all up and down the field. Now on the Commander side, they are still finding their identity. And Sam Howell is going to have times like this where he flashes. He did it a few weeks ago against the Eagles, where he led a really good drive at the end of the game to send it into overtime. Mm-hmm. And he's done it a few times this season. But I think that they're still trying to find their footing as an offense. So they should be a team to kind of really watch out for. They could easily have like a mid-season explosion, and you're seeing him throw for 300-400 yards because he has the weapons. Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel. Yeah. Antonio Gibson, Jahan Dotson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dynamic Brown, who was his teammate at North Carolina. So they do have the weapons. And what's your boy from Kansas City?
Eric Bieniemy, yeah.
Eric Bieniemy is building. He's building this monster right now. And right now, it's like I said, it's still in the early stages. But I'm interested to see how they progress moving forward. Defensively, this doesn't surprise me. We know what they are defensively. They have one of the best front sevens in the league. But also another thing, let's look forward to maybe what they would do during the trade deadline, because I don't know if Chase Young's going to be there. I think they're going to move off him pretty soon.
You said Chase Young?
Chase Young. I could see Chase Young being moved. Right. So, but because there's
I think they flirted that kind of even leading into the season. I've heard that before.
I mean, they have so much depth on the defensive line. So, this is one of the better defensive top 8, top 10 defensive units in football. So they're not dying for his services. They could easily trade him away. And once again, trade is another story for another day. But this is just what they are defensively right now. They don't have very many needs. They just have to continue to get better at what they do. But it was a good win for Washington. Washington's a good football team. You know me, even though I'm an NFC East guy, I'm really high on Washington. I think that they can be better than people expect them to be.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to dive in on this here game a little bit. The Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Seattle Seahawks 17-13. Another game that I kind of tuned into as it was ending. First of all, one of the things that I noticed about this game, the Cincinnati Bengals were in Geno Smith's ass. Like, they had him on the. I'm not sure if the sack numbers necessarily reflect it, but they had him on the run. They sacked him 4 times, and they had 13 QB hits on him.
Yeah,
and I mean to see this game, they had Geno Smith flustered, and he still managed to throw for big yardage. He had 323, no touchdowns on the day though, 2 interceptions. They have some really, really, really key red zone stops, including actually they stopped them twice in the final 2 minutes in the red zone. And I actually, I love Pete Carroll.
Yeah,
I think Pete Carroll he's obviously somewhere 5 to 10 coaches in the league, wherever. Or if you have him ahead of that, hey, I wouldn't even argue you. You know what I'm saying? If you have him, top 5, I wouldn't argue.
Let's not disrespect Pete now. So go ahead.
But let's be fair. He has times where he's a little too aggressive for himself.
I agree.
And case in point, in this very game, they have the ball. It's a 17-13 game. They have the ball. It was a little over 2 minutes left. They're in the red zone, right? They still have all 3 timeouts left, and he goes for it on 4th down. Now, mind you, once again, a little over 2 minutes left. He still has timeouts. Instead of taking the points there, making this a 17-16 game, he goes for it, gets stuffed. Defense does their job and holds. But now they're getting the ball back, and now you have to go get a touchdown instead of driving for a field goal, which changes the whole play calling mindset.
Right.
And I'm once again, I mean, he's a great coach, but I just feel like we've seen him do things like that all too often. And with that being said, I don't want to take credit away from Cincinnati. Like I said, man, Hubbard and Hendrickson, I mean, they got after Geno Smith. They made him very, very uncomfortable. All you seen him doing all game was this backpedaling. And I mean, they came out here and got the win. I think that they still are trying to figure some things out offensively.
They are.
I think the fact that Joe Burrow missed the majority of the preseason, I think it's starting to show its head here in the regular season. Outside of last week, they really hadn't been able to, unlock Jamar Chase this year outside of last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then even this week, he had 6 for 80 this week. But I mean, they seem to be their offense hasn't quite clicked yet. And with that being said, I'm not sure. I think they got a bye week next week. I could be wrong. But either way, for them to be 3-3 now, winning their last 2 games, considering that they haven't clicked offensively yet, I think they have to be happy about that.
And one thing I'll say, and Bo, I'm sure is on the chat. He said both QBs had defense in their outstanding game from both fronts. I agree.
Yeah.
Don't let Cincinnati get up.
Oh yeah.
Don't let them get on their feet.
Because this is their MO though. Like they always start the season slow.
This is who they are. Don't let them get up. Don't let them get confident. Don't let them get things together. It would be in the AFC's best interest to apply foot to throat and don't let them get up. Just beat them into submission. Because if these guys figure it out, they're going to be right back in the AFC. And I know Bo kills them. They're going to be right back in the AFC Championship because they're a confident group. Now, as far as I like how they're winning right now because I think it's healthy in the grand scheme of things. Defensively, this might be the best, most unspectacular defense I've ever seen. They just find freaking ways to get it done. And almost none of these guys are household names.
Yeah. Agreed.
But
Trey Hendrickson still doesn't get the type of credit he deserves.
I do think he's a stud. Yeah, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. Very, very consistent. But so I told Isaiah why we told the Bengals will be in first place. Hope I'm wrong, but it's looking like that.
I hope you are too, because I picked the Ravens to win the division, but I still have Cincinnati in the playoffs. But I picked the Ravens to win the division because I kind of foreseen Cincinnati getting off to a slow start. So I hope you're wrong.
You were talking about Jamar Chase. Shit, Joe Mixon has been there. We got to put that guy must be on witness protection.
APB.
Man, dude, we haven't he hasn't, and honestly, that's even ending last year. He hasn't been the same running back that we've seen from him.
Ryan was starting to get a lot of those touches. Mm-hmm.
A lot of touches, exactly. So we got to see if Joe Mixon can kind of turn it back on. Remember, they still drafted the young kid Chase Brown. So don't be surprised if you start seeing him get a little bit more carries. But Cincinnati's in a good place. I have to check. I don't know exactly when their bye week is, but they're starting to figure things out slowly but surely offensively. And you're seeing Joe Burrow get more confident in his leg and some of the throws that he's making. He's looking a little bit healthier every single week. So Cincinnati is what they are. They do this every year. We'll see how things unfold in the coming weeks. Now, as far as Seattle, remember, Seattle has had a few offensive line issues. They've had health issues on our offensive line. I think their young tackles are played in this game, but for the most part, it's been musical chairs offensive line wise in front of Geno Smith so far this year. So they're still patching things together from that standpoint and just kind of getting that chemistry back. Mm-hmm. But I still think they played a strong game overall. I think Seattle will be a playoff team again, and I think that they'll probably beat San Francisco at least one time. And maybe
I mean, the Rams may too. Them divisional games are a trip.
It's a trip, yeah, exactly. And here's the thing with Seattle, Geno Smith is still playing solid, but I'm going to tell you guys, wait and see what happens when they're able to finally unlock Jackson Smith and Jigba, because he's getting off to a very slow start. The first round rookie that they drafted at Ohio State. When he comes on and he's able to become that true slot threat that they need to kind of supplement DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, it's going to be a long day for a lot of these defenses. So overall, like I said, for them, this was a rough outing for them. They just played a front that was able to get pressure on Geno Smith and slow down some of the things that they wanted to do in the running game with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. But I haven't lost any faith in them. This was just, they just ran into a desperate opponent, because Cincinnati's desperate right now.
Word. Another game we're going to jump into a little bit. Very surprising outcome here. Cleveland Browns, we can call this an upset. Upsetting the San Francisco 49ers, handing them their first loss of the season, 19-17. San Francisco, well, I think this is a game where we finally seen Brock Purdy come down to earth. We seen him easily have his worst game as a professional. With that being said, they still had an opportunity to win the game, but San Francisco missed a 41-yard field goal as time was expiring. Cleveland go out there and get this win with PJ Walker behind center, and quietly, yeah, and quietly they're a 3-2 ball club. And first of all, before I jump on the Niners, let me give the Cleveland Browns credit where it's due. I think you heard bits and pieces about some of the guys that they have defensively and what they can be. But is it Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator?
Jim Schwartz.
He has these guys playing some ball. They are giving up. They're only giving up an average of 200 total yards a game so far through their first 5 games of the season, which is that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Obviously Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. Jeremiah Owusu. Okay. What school did he go to again?
He went to USC.
What?
Nah, he went to Notre Dame. He's a Notre Dame guy.
Hey, but you know what, man? Like, Jim Schwartz has these guys playing some ball, and with a defense like theirs, if nothing else, they're going to be in every game.
Yeah,
they're going to be in every game. Now it's just on the offense to really kind of figure some things out. And this team hung tough. You know what I'm saying? PJ Walker, if you looked at his numbers, 18 for 34, 192, 2 interceptions, they're not going to stand out to you. But watching the game, the kid hung in there. He made his mistakes. Trust me.
He did, sure.
But down the stretch, he made some throws. San Francisco had actually taken the lead in this game. After he had thrown an interception, San Francisco returned it down to Cleveland's goal line and then ended up getting it in. San Francisco took the lead midway through the fourth quarter, and he came right back from that, led them right on back down the field for them to score. And that's how they went up 19-17. And ultimately, the Niners missed their field goal. But I wanted to give the Cleveland Browns credit. I didn't want to make it seem like, San Francisco just faltered so much. Like, the Browns came out there and they won this game. They deserved this win.
And they did it with players missing, with significant players missing.
Mm-hmm. And now, with that being said, I want to say this about the 49ers. Okay, obviously, we seen Brock Purdy come back down to earth. This is actually his first real true loss as an NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
and very pedestrian numbers: 12 or 27, 125, a TD, and interception. Granted, we did see C-Mac go out in this game. Granted, we did see Deebo Samuels go out in this game. We seen Trent Williams get hurt in this game. Um, this was just a bad day at the office for them. Point blank. Period. They went out there. They played a team who got up for this game. Who and I didn't think I would say this one time this year, but they were the less physical team. Cleveland was the more physical team.
Yeah, they were.
And I didn't think there would be a game this year where I would say that about the San Francisco 49ers, but they got out physical. I don't want to jump down their throats though.
No.
I don't. I do still think that they are one of, if not the premier team in the NFC right now. I think this is something for them to learn from. I think in a few weeks to come, we'll need to see the health of C-Mac, the health of Deebo, the health of Trent Williams. And I think it's going to be interesting because let's say, and we don't know how serious those injuries are yet, but let's say one or two or all of those guys do miss a game or two. Now, I think we're really going to finally be able to get a gauge of who Brock Purdy really is.
I agree. And starting out with the 49ers, they're a phenomenal team. Talented top to bottom. My only worry about the 49ers is that they need so much to go. They need everything to go right for them to play their very best. Usually when adversity strikes, that's when they fold up. I have no worries about San Francisco in a regular season because they're going to be the best regular season team in the National Football League. They're going to probably go on a streak where they win 12, 13 plus games after this. But what do we see is when they get to the playoffs, and this has just been who they are, they get to the playoffs, and when it's time for them to win the big game or it's time for them to get their hardware, they fold because they have to run into adversity or a team that's not going to lay down for them. And that's my biggest worry with San Francisco 49ers. They got punched in the mouth by a lesser team. And they and Cleveland just said, we're not going to lay down for you. And then San Fran just kind of really didn't know how to process that. Now, on Cleveland's side, it surprised me because now I'm seeing, maybe this team has a little bit more potential, but they're going to have to figure out their quarterback situation. That's going to be the big question mark. Is Deshaun Watson
by situation, do you mean like get better play, or do you mean like?
Oh, well, period. Because Deshaun Watson, I still say this. I said this the other day. Somebody looked at me crazy. Baker Mayfield's still the best quarterback that the Browns have had in 25 years.
Yeah, I mean that's not to
this day. But what I'm saying is that shouldn't be because Deshaun Watson is too talented for that. Does that make sense? So
I guess for me, I want to let the season play out before I just say, okay, Deshaun, like you're because previous to okay, he missed this game, but the last game that he played was his best game as a Cleveland Brown, and so it looked like okay, maybe he was kind of figuring some things out, maybe he was coming back along, and now he's missed some time. So I guess for me the verdict is still out, but no, I mean that's not a crazy statement. I mean Baker Mayfield. Look, that doesn't say a lot though, but
that's what I'm saying. So so if they can get the things figured out offensively, because obviously they have the weapons. Was this a trap game? I don't think so. No, I think you know what? I like that both said this. It wasn't a trap game. I enjoy, and we're going to go into more games, but what I loved about this week is that it showed you that nobody has it figured out. San Francisco,
exactly.
It showed you that nobody has it figured out. The Chiefs are the reigning Super Bowl champions we talked about earlier, and they have so many question marks offensively. And defensively, they're getting carried. San Francisco, who has been the people's champion for the past 3 years, we don't know what they have at quarterback because he plays with a generational offensive play caller and all these weapons. And when they go down, he's just not the same guy, right? This is just what we've seen so far. So this week, I don't think this was a trap game by any means. I think you just saw that the 49ers are mortal. and that if you punch them in the mouth and you swing with them, it's kind of like dealing with a bully. Bullies don't like getting punched in the face. That's what the 49ers are right now. They're used to beating people up. So, yeah.
And I'm gonna just say this real quick before we move on. Now we look at the AFC North, right? And you got two teams who we think are, the cream of the division in Baltimore and in Cincinnati. And then now you got two other teams in Cleveland and in Pittsburgh who have these two great defenses that are going to keep them competitive. So all of a sudden that division looks really freaking competitive.
And didn't I say that what the AFC North can be a special division?
That it's going to be some dog fights in it. It's not an easy game in that division.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
Nobody if you're Baltimore and you're Cincinnati, you can't be excited about having to play that Cleveland Browns defense that we just seen.
Hell no.
That's only giving up 200 yards a game so far. So yeah, that part.
Right.
Real quick, we ain't gotta spend too long on this one. The Miami Dolphins beat the Carolina Panthers 42-21. Carolina actually jumped out to a 14-0 lead.
They did.
And the Dolphins scored on 5 of their next 6 possessions. So and I mean that's the Dolphins, I think for me, I think they're gonna beat up on the teams they're supposed to beat up on. Okay. This offense, goddamn Mike McDaniel, man, right from that center hand tree.
He's coaching his ass off. I gotta give him credit.
He is, man. Speed all over. They lose, this rookie sensation in Devon Achane. They slip Raheem Mostert right on back in. Raheem Mostert gets 3 touchdowns like it's nothing. Obviously, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is on a 2,300 yard pace.
Yeah, he's gonna break 2,000 yards. Barring injury.
Barring injury. Yeah,
he's gonna break it.
I mean, dynamic offense. Like I said, they're going to do this to the teams that they're supposed to. It's the teams that going to pose them a challenge, that are going to fight back, that we need to see, i.e. the game against Buffalo. A team that's gonna be physical, that's gonna fight back, a team that can kind of match them score for score. Those are the teams where the verdict are still out for Miami.
And surprisingly, before you continue, they have defensive issues, which caught me by surprise because I'm a big Vic fan.
Yeah.
But they got a leaky defense, kind of sort of.
And I don't think their secondary is all that great. And now there's rumblings that Jalen Ramsey's trying to get back a lot sooner than later. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. But no, I agree. And then, I mean, obviously Carolina's Carolina. I mean, Bryce Young is having, rookie quarterback struggles. However, I mean, slowly but surely, you're seeing him make some strides. I think that one of the best things for him is that he has a reliable set of hands in a veteran like Adam Thielen. Yeah. And I mean, he's having rookie struggles. I'm not as critical of him as some people have been, and I think a lot of that is because we're seeing C.J. Stroud and we've seen Anthony Richardson before he got hurt. We've seen them have some success and win games, but they are flat out they're in better situations. So and then now it came out today, I guess Frank Wright he's giving up play calling duties now. So he's going to allow his OC to call plays. So we'll see how that works out. But at the end of the day, look, they can go 0-15 for all I care. 0-17, excuse me, for all I care, because my Bears got their pick. Okay, so listen, they can lose every game for all I care. Okay, but hey, what can we say? All right, we're gonna move on. Jaguars Colts. The Jags ended up winning this game 37-20. Obviously for the Colts, Anthony Richardson missed this game. Rumor is he's considering having season-ending surgery. So we'll see what happens there. In the meantime, they threw out Gardner Minshew. I know Gardner's your guy, a guy who I've softened up to as well. I think he's one of the better backups in the league. This wasn't his best game.
It wasn't.
He threw for 329, but he had a touchdown, 3 interceptions. We seen them. They're trying to work Jonathan Taylor back into the mix. He's back now. And it's kind of crazy because Zach Moss was really having some success early on in the season. So it's kind of crazy to trying to see that dynamic unfold. But I think they just, they went out there. I think they just lost to a better team. You got a team in Jacksonville who I believe now has won 3 in a row. They won their 2 games in London, and now they came and won this one. They won 3 in a row. They're getting things going at the right time. You're seeing Trevor Lawrence and those guys really just get everyone involved. They're another team that has some really good skill position players.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Travis Etienne is very talented. Christian Kirk is talented. Obviously, Calvin Ridley is talented. I love Evan Ingram. I mean, they're another team that they got some guys there who can make some plays, in those skill positions. And you're seeing them after a 1-2 start. You're seeing them over the last 3 weeks really kind of get it together. And I think they're obviously the best team in this division, and we're just seeing them pretty much take care of business.
They're becoming a contender.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. And defensively,
I still have a few questions. I was trying to say I still have a few questions defensively.
Yeah, but they're a better defense now than they were a year ago because they do so many things well. They stop the run very well. As critical as I am of Trayvon Walker, don't think he should have been taken #1 overall, but the boy can set the edge and stop the run. That's his specialty. And then we're finally starting to see Josh Allen kind of become the player we saw him becoming when he came out. I want to say he played at Kentucky. He's kind of given us special play. And this young secondary is really good. Rayshon Jenkins, Andre Sisco, who I was a big fan of coming out of college. I think he went to Syracuse. Darius Williams, who came from the Rams. Like these guys are coming together. Devin Lloyd, they got Devin Lloyd. I think he was out for about 1 or 2 weeks. He came and he had about 8 or 9 tackles in this game, 7 solo, right? And then they got Olakun. I always mispronounce his name.
But he's flying around.
Oh, yeah, he's flying around. So this is a unit that's young, and they're just getting better. Offensively, I know Trevor Lawrence got a little banged up. From my understanding, he's going to be okay. I want to see how he's going to, because he hasn't played his best ball early in the season. He's kind of been a little up and down. If he can find and catch that fire that he caught, or that energy that he caught at the end of last year, I think that's going to go a big way and make it in like a top 3 seed, maybe even a top 2 seed in the AFC. But they're looking like contenders early on. They are. I think they're easily going to run away with this division. Oh, and can I say this about I'm going to say this about the Colts. Because we talked about the Panthers last week, and I'm a big believer in Bryce. Seeing Anthony Richardson get hurt every single week, I don't want to hear anybody fix their mouth to say shit about Bryce Young. Because we talk so much about his size, and he's just this little guy. And Anthony Richardson was the big size speed product, and he's gotten hurt. I don't think he might have played 1 complete game, maybe. Agree. Yeah.
And granted, I mean, when he's in there, he's definitely. I think he was playing better than expected. I expected him to have some legit struggles, and he was playing better than expected. But to your point, for what was supposed to have been the bigger, prospect, the ideal prospect physically, he has been getting nicked up almost every game. And for the Colts, they dropped to 3-3, but this team's they're not out of the woods. Like Gardner Minshew, once again, like we said, Gardner Minshew is a very quality backup, and furthermore, if he does have to complete the season stepping into their starting role, hey, they're going to be a feisty out. They're going to hover right around that 500 mark. I truly believe that with Gardner Minshew. I agree. He's like an average starter. Yeah, that's what I think, Gardner Minshew. It took a long time. He did not like Gardner Minshew at first. I didn't. I wasn't on the bandwagon, but I mean, he's a quality. He's a quality quarterback. You know what I'm saying? There's probably a few teams in the league that he could start for.
Right.
The Houston Texans defeat the New Orleans Saints 20-13. Both teams moved to 3-3 here. I think so. I'm gonna start with Houston. First of all, I think they have to be just downright ecstatic with CJ Stroud's play. And that's coming off the fact that you can argue this might have been the worst game he's played all year. I think he finally threw. I think this interception was the first interception he's thrown all year. He threw one in this game.
Yeah.
But I think they have to be ecstatic about his play. And quietly, DeMeco Ryans has this defense playing. They're playing really well. Like they seem to take on his identity. You know, obviously, you know, coming from San Francisco, and he has this team playing, you know, really well defensively. You know, I'm very, very impressed with them. You know, I like Dalton Schultz. And Dalton Schultz,
you know, my dog, top 10 tight end.
I was just gonna say Dalton Schultz is putting himself in that tight end conversation.
I mean, but
he's such a reliable. He is such a reliable pass catcher.
This is who he has been. This is who he has been. I've been trying to tell people this, but it took for him to get out of Dallas for people to see how good he is. He's a good player.
Mm-hmm. No, he definitely is, man. I mean, and then to see the way Stroud, I think Tank Dell didn't play in this game, but the way he was using Tank Dell, the way he's getting Nico Collins involved, the way he's using Dalton Schultz. I mean, I'm just so impressed with this team. And considering all that they've been through in the past couple years, as far as the coaching, you know, I went off on them last season, you know, as far as what they've been doing, as far as the coaching and whatnot. I am really ecstatic to see the direction that this team is going. And then on the flip side, I mean, you got the Saints. I'm gonna ask, man, what happened to Alvin Kamara? Like, there was a time where you thought of Alvin Kamara almost similarly to the way you thought of Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he's the runner that Christian McCaffrey is, but I mean, he's a guy who can come out the backfield and just run all the routes. But I don't know, maybe it's me. And not that he had he had, you know, he ran 19 rushes, 68 yards. He caught another 7 passes for 36 yards.
He had like,
I guess what I'm saying is
all-purpose yards.
Yeah. But it just doesn't have the same impact on a game that he once did. And I don't understand. I don't know what's happening, you know. Same with Michael Thomas. And I grant Michael Thomas, I know, has missed, you know, a slew of time, you know. Maybe he's lost a step. What's happened to these guys? And I say this, in my eyes, I thought they were far and away the best team in the NFC South. Now, I'm not so sure I can say that. You know, I think they're all I really couldn't tell you the difference between New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and Atlanta.
And I agree. I think that's a good point that you can make. They haven't been the same since Sean Payton left. And to me, the biggest mistake that they made was naming Dennis Allen.
Dennis Allen, the coach. Yeah.
To me, Dennis Allen is a great coordinator. He's not a good head coach. And this is a team that's always, for the most part, has kind of prided itself on having one of the more versatile, explosive offenses in the International Football League. And since he has been over that unit, they just haven't been that. Derek Carr, to me, even though he's had his struggles, he's not playing terrible. I think it's just a matter of play calling. I forget who their offensive coordinator is. I think he's somebody from the Sean Payton regimen, one of his disciples. But he just doesn't have that same chemistry with these weapons as Sean Payton did. He understood how to use Michael Thomas in a multiple type of ways. He understood how to get the best out of Alvin Kamara. Now, you spoke on Alvin Kamara. What I will say about him is one reason we're seeing him have a drop in production is they're asking him to carry the ball more. We're just gonna throw that out there, you know. And I said the same thing. And we're gonna get into this. We talk about Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard doesn't look the same. You give him more carries. A lot of these guys, you know, you look at talents like them, they're 12 to 15 touch guys, and you get the most out of them receiving wise, running wise. But you need a hammer or somebody else to throw in there. They just don't have that player. But the Saints to me have been over the past 2 years, even last year, we had high hopes for them. They've just been a humongous letdown. So much talent on both sides of the football, but it just hasn't materialized into anything great. And you have to look at Dennis Allen. I believe if you had an offensive-minded coach, I know at some point, we were talking about is it Byron Leftwich was interviewing for this job, and I think he withdrew his name, and then they gave Dennis Allen a job. I think that probably would have been a good choice because now you have a guy that can be more in sync with what they want to do on the offensive side of the ball. But I can go on and on about that. I just think they're a humongous letdown. And the Texans, defensively, I looked at their roster defensively, and they have a bunch of older, experienced veterans and cast-offs. Like guys that outside of Will Anderson, if you're looking at these freaking names, like okay, first of all, Blake Cashman. Who the hell is Blake Cashman? You got Jimmy Ward, who's been in the league forever, and he's in his later years, but he's a very strong locker room guy. Sheldon Rankins, who's bounced around 3 or 4 different teams, former first round pick out of Louisville. Shaquille Griffin. Then you got Jerry Hughes, who used to play for Buffalo. You got Buffalo. You got Malik Collins. That was a starting defense tackle
for the Cowboys.
Exactly. You have all these Christian Harris. I think he played with the Patriots. Like you have all these guys Henry Toto, who was like a low-level linebacker pick from Alabama, a guy who nobody really expected much out of. So DeMeco Ryans has taken these guys and he's really imprinted his aggressiveness onto them. And they already did have some plus talented guys. Like we know Jalen Petry's a stud. And then the corner that they drafted last year. I don't think he played in this game out of LSU.
Stingley.
Derek Stingley. But they're just a really impressive unit. And I think because there are not that many big names, there's no ego in it. And those guys are just flying around hitting people.
Word. I'm gonna move along here because I want us to get. I definitely want us to get to our predictions for this week as well.
Okay.
Las Vegas in the mid bowl, that's what I'm gonna call it. But Las Vegas Raiders defeat the New England Patriots 21-17. The Raiders surprisingly are 3-3 now. The Patriots. You know what? Good win. First of all, good win for Las Vegas. God bless them. Surprisingly, 3-3. I want to talk about really quickly. I want to talk about the Patriots. Okay. Now listen. I know that you were high on this team coming into this season. Okay.
And I still am.
And I tried to tell you that I just didn't see it. I just didn't see it.
I'm still high on them.
God bless your heart. With that being said, right? God, Lord forbid we question the great Bill Belichick, but I'm going to do it. Like, first of all, and we talked about this in the offseason, people want to give him a pass. Okay, we could say all we want. We could talk all we want about the personnel that he has there, but he's in charge of that. He gets his pick of the litter. You know what I'm saying? He's the one in charge of the personnel that's coming in there. And then I think that what he has done to Mac Jones is a travesty. Okay. Mac Jones, his rookie year
was impressive.
After his rookie year, we thought he was the best quarterback in that what's that 2021 class?
Yep.
And with Trevor and Fields and Trey Lance, all those guys. Zach, after his rookie season, Mac Jones was considered the best quarterback in that class.
Right.
And now to see last year, they have a special teams coordinator in Joe Judge and a defensive coordinator in Matt Patricia split offensive play calling duties. How does that set Mac Jones up for success? Then and he's still a young quarterback. He's still impressionable. Confidence is everything for him. So then you come back this year and you bring in Bill O'Brien. Great. No problem. No quarrel with that. But I think that it was made pretty clear that Bill Belichick doesn't trust Mac Jones. He's benched him 2 or 3 times already this season. Like, I feel like you're ruining, and I'm not saying Mac Jones is just this world beater, but I do think he can be a starting quarterback in this league. And I think that you're ruining a pretty quality quarterback. Granted, he didn't. Okay, Mac Jones didn't have his best day yesterday. The interception that he threw yesterday was horrendous. It was terrible. It was horrendous.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
But I feel sorry for the guy. I really do, because I just don't think that they set him up for success throughout his career. I just feel sorry for him, you know, and I put a lot of that blame on Bill Belichick. I think that he's smelling himself, and he has been for years. Like he has been for years, you know. And I think because he is such this great defensive mind, and because we know that defensively his teams are going to be stout, and because of that they're always going to be in games, I think we just hold him at such high esteem, you know, because he has these 7 Super Bowls. But nobody wants to talk about the personnel decisions that he's made that, since the departure of Tom Brady, have hindered them. Now we're going to look up, and now they're not going to make the playoffs this year. And this is going to be 3 of 4 years.
Is that a fact?
Tom Brady. That's a fact. They are not going to make the playoffs this year. And this is going to be 3 of 4 years post Tom Brady that they didn't make the playoffs. And once again, Bill Belichick is probably he's the best NFL head coach ever. He is. But for those out there that think that the New England Patriots success was more Bill Belichick than Tom Brady, That is simply not the case. And I'm not saying it's the other way around.
Yeah,
I'm saying that I'm saying that it was 50-50. I'm saying that they needed each other.
They needed each other, exactly.
But there is such a there's a large group of people that think so highly of Bill Belichick that they still believe that Bill Belichick made Tom Brady, and I think he's proven that's not the case. At the end of the day, we can say whatever we want about Tom Brady. We've seen Tom Brady be successful without Bill Belichick.
Okay, but
we've never seen Bill Belichick sustain success without Tom Brady.
But then this goes into, and this is one thing I always remind people, even though he didn't quote unquote make Tom Brady, he provided an environment that allowed Tom Brady to take his time and grow. Because those first 3 championships, I don't care what anybody says, Tom Brady was a fucking game manager. He was a game manager. Tom Brady didn't become this high volume passer until about 06, 07. And I mean that respectfully because I genuinely believe Tom Brady's the best quarterback to ever play this game.
And now I agree with you. I don't disagree with that. But I don't think we can understate, even in those 3 Super Bowls where he was a game manager, he led game-winning drives in 2 of them.
He did, but these were defensive-led teams. That's the point I make. And then we look at the last, and this is the real. The last championship that they won in New England, that was one of
the ugliest Super Bowls I've ever seen.
That was a defensive and special teams led team. I've never seen a team.
Wait, the New England, the one that they beat the Rams?
Yeah, 2019.
You saying that season was a defensive? I don't know about that.
Huh? You want to look it up?
I don't know about that.
Wait. Do we need to pull up the numbers on that one? Because do we need to? Because mind you, if I'm not mistaken, that's the year that Stephon Gilmore won Defensive Player of the Year. And they was playing lights out on defense. And offensively, Tom Brady was yelling at his receivers every single week because they couldn't manufacture. They had a very average offense, but they were great defensively and they were great on special teams. That's how they won. And this is not to shit on Tom Brady because he went to Tampa Bay and won a fucking Super Bowl his first fucking year and had a puncher's chance the year after. The point I'm trying to make, I don't think we become such prisoners of the moment that we try to say, oh, okay, well, Bill hasn't really done anything since Tom's been gone. Okay, well, that may be so. And maybe we're seeing a lot more of his flaws as far as scouting and some of the decision making that he's made as far as personnel on the offensive side of the ball. That's fine. But we can't discount what the fuck he's done for the past 25 years and the environment that he has allowed Tom Brady to really flourish in. Because even though if Tom Brady goes to another team, like early in his career, or maybe even the first 5 to 8 years of his career, we don't ever get this version of Tom Brady.
I agree.
We don't, and that's not, and Tom, we watch videos and stuff like this, and we look at documentaries. Bill Belichick was very instrumental in his development because he would bring him and have him watch defensive tape. Like he helped this guy out. So I think that they're a perfect marriage. And right now he's figuring some things out. And who knows? Once again, I don't know what's going to happen with him in New England. And right now they're not looking the best. But I'm going to still hold out hope because me, I'm always going to stay on my pick. But
I just think they need to Robert Kraft needs to get someone in there, get an actual GM in there, someone else to make these player personnel.
I agree with that. I think that is if he does that, I think we could say that might be the beginning of the end. We could probably say that you bring a GM first, and if you're still not able to win with somebody else kind of handling personnel, then it's probably time to move off of you. And the thing is he's had a great run. He's
absolutely.
Had a great, and it happens all the time.
Right off to the sunset.
So but yeah, that game, it was a very ugly game to watch. I flipped off of it. I'm like, I don't know if I can sit here and watch this shit. I'll say this about the Raiders. They're a bad team that's winning too many damn games.
Yeah.
They're gonna play themselves out of a great quarterback pick.
Yeah, they are.
And
they are.
We're gonna look up and like,
but lucky, but you know what? It's crazy. Lucky for them, no.
This is a packed draft,
and we gotta get into some college one of these days. But lucky for them, this draft, I think you could fourth, fifth round, you could get a Sam Hartman or something. You know what I'm saying? Like this draft is littered with quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's loaded. It's like that. Yeah, I
agree. The LA Rams defeated the Arizona Cardinals 26-9. This is another team. I don't think this 3-3 record. I don't know if it's indicative of the team that they really are. Like this Rams team is a scary team to me.
They're feisty.
They are. And I mean, and I think you alluded to this. Okay, well, obviously Cooper Kupp is back now. He has 7 receptions, 148 yards. But you alluded to this before Cooper Kupp was back, seeing the success that Puka Nacua was having.
Yeah.
And I think that is just a testament of
McVay.
Yeah, how great of a coach Sean McVay really is, man. And how fucking great of a system that he has, and even look, Kyron Williams
is balling. He's balling.
Is fucking who? Never heard of him. He's fucking balling this year, right?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He's balling.
And then real quick, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals got to be the most feistiest 1-5 goddamn team that I think I've seen in a long time. Like,
hey.
Like they're gonna fight you tooth and we thought that they were before the season. I think a lot of us just thought, hey, these guys, they're in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, and they still are. But it's not for lack of effort. Like they're going for it every week.
And this team is playing harder for Joshua Dobbs than I've ever seen them play for Kyler Murray.
Yep.
They're playing their hearts out. I genuinely believe that even if Josh Dobbs isn't the quarterback, I don't think they want to go back to Kyler Murray.
I mean, yeah, I think this.
And I'm not talking.
I don't know. They did just pay him, so I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know if they. do you draft a quarterback after you done just paid this kid?
If you finish number 1, you're gonna draft. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. Well, he doesn't want to go there, so that's his decision. But if Caleb Williams comes out, they're gonna turn that card in. It might not. The clock might not get to 10 seconds. And they're gonna send Kyler Murray on his way. Because here's the thing: it's not about his talent; it's about who he is as a leader, and as a teammate. You can genuinely tell those guys don't like him.
Yeah.
So I mean,
he has a lot of growing up to do. That's all you hear. He just has so much growing up to do.
He has a lot of growing up to do. And okay, and this is a quick sidebar note for a game that we're gonna talk about moving forward. The 2 coordinators that left Philadelphia are coaching their motherfucking ass off right now.
Oh yeah.
Jonathan Gannon, I've heard people give Jonathan Gannon so much flack. He's doing a phenomenal job with a team that we can honestly say was probably tanking. Like they're playing tough. They're swinging with people.
And the Eagles miss Steichen. They
do.
They do not. They just simply, and you can other reasons to that as well. Jalen Hurts' play has not been the same as it was last year. He had a terrible game yesterday, but
I'm a hater.
Offensively, they just haven't been the same without him this year. That's flat out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. So okay, what game are we moving on to? Are we still in the Rams?
Oh no, actually, speaking of Jalen Hurts, Jets defeat the Eagles 20-14 yesterday. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, and like I said, didn't have his best game yesterday. Threw for 280, 1 touchdown. He threw 3 interceptions. And then he ran for another 47 yards or whatever. Okay. Well, first of all, let me say this. As far as the Jets go, I have to say that I'm impressed with Robert Saleh, seeing how they started the season. Obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. He's out for the season. They started the season 1-3, and I think that it took a lot of nuts for him to say, hey, you know what? We're not making a move. We're sticking with Zach Wilson. And we're gonna ride this sucker out. Okay, we're gonna go back to the drawing board. We're gonna fix some things, and we're gonna figure it out with this guy. And that's just what it is, you know what I'm saying? And him doing that publicly, along with them, and I think they said they had a team meeting in which they brought Aaron Rodgers in and him speaking to these guys. I think you've seen them play some really, really inspired ball. They're another team, I think, kind of similar to the Cleveland Browns, that their defense is going to keep them in games. You know, if Zach Wilson can play mistake-free football, they're going to be right. They're going to be right in the thick of things. They're going to be in games.
Okay, so look, this is what I'm going to say, and I'm super critical of Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it was that 2-point conversion he threw.
Mm-hmm.
When he threw that, I said, he's starting to get a swag. He's starting to get a swagger back. So we talking about mistake free.
And it helps. It helps when you get Garrett Wilson the ball too. It helps when you get your main guy the ball.
Your man, exactly. I agree. But don't be surprised.
And Breece Hall coming back as well. Sorry.
And Breece Hall. Oh, okay. And don't be surprised in the coming weeks. And I'm about to say something else. Don't be surprised in the coming weeks if you start seeing them let Zach Wilson loose and let him
I wouldn't be surprised at all,
because he has the he's not an untalented quarterback. It was everything was mental for him, so he can make all the throws on the football field. So I'm excited to see how what Nathaniel Hackett kind of has cooking up, because he looked really like in the few passes I've seen him make in this game, especially at 2-point. I was like, okay, this is a guy. This is a starter, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a throw of a high level starter. But sometimes things just come full circle. And I'm going to tell you this, man. I watched you for years talk trash on Ezekiel Elliott and big up Dalvin Cook. And by goddamn, he looks terrible. He's their fucking backup. He's their backup running back. Breece Hall is their unquestioned starter.
Okay, so I think he went there. I think he went there So I'm gonna defend him a little bit. I think first of all, I think he went the running back market was just fucking shitty. There is no market for running backs.
He had options.
And I think he took an option with the team, with Aaron Rodgers, with a team that I think he thought had a chance to win and go all the way. With that being said, I think that he knew he wasn't going to get the type of money that he probably wished, and B, I truly believe he went there knowing that when Breece Hall gets back healthy, at best, it would be a split backfield. Now, granted, Breece Hall is running the fuck out the ball. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think Dalvin Cook has lost the step. I don't think he's washed. I just think he went to a situation, understanding what the situation was, and Breece Hall is playing his fucking ass off. This is a kid in year 2, young, even coming off an injury, still got burst. You know what I'm saying? I think this is the situation he put himself into.
Okay, I want you to, and this is why I'm like, we got to be careful with that, because Breece Hall was coming off an injury, so Dalvin Cook was expected to come in there and take, at least early on, the lion's shares of carries. He has 39 carries for 109 yards. He averages 2.8 yards per carry, and he has 0 touchdowns. They're talking about trading him. He's a prime trade candidate.
And I think that'll be good for him. I think he still has some solid football left in him. I think put in the right situation where he'll be used more, because he's a great catcher out the backfield as well. I think putting in the right situation where he'll be used more, I think he can still be productive. Now, what I will say is that when it comes to especially with the yards per carry, what I will say is that even dating back to last year with Minnesota, I think that you started to see then that he may have been kind of losing a step, losing a burst, but I think he was still able to be effective because they were getting him, maybe another 4 or 5, 6 catches out the backfield. But as a runner, I think he has kind of lost a step. And I mean, he always getting fucking banged up, which was another issue with him. So, I mean, granted, he might have lost a step, but I think in the right situation, let's, I don't know. I can't even think of a team, but I don't know. We talking about Joe Mixon. I mean, I wouldn't dare say they move off of him, but
he's lost a step.
Let's say you get Dalvin Cook in Cincinnati, or I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to boggle through my mind here. I mean, I don't want to say I can't say Buffalo because James Cook is playing pretty damn well.
He is. He's playing really good. He'll probably be a 1,000-yard guy this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, maybe a change of scenery. I just, I was thinking about that. I said, look what we have here. This guy's playing horrible right now, and Zeke's playing better than him. Like today, Zeke's the better running back.
Speaking of playing horrible, though, and I gotta, to your point, Jalen Hurts is playing like fucking shit.
But look,
he's playing like shit.
Can I say this? If anybody's followed them over the past few weeks, he hasn't played great. They've managed to squeak and managed to like by the skin of their teeth make it out of some of these games. They should have lost to Minnesota. He threw a horrendous pick in that game. So it's not. So when people are looking at this defense, the only quarterback that's played great against this defense is Dak Prescott. Everybody else has struggled. Jalen Hurts has, now that he got paid as this top 3, top 5 quarterback that everybody said that he was, which I've always said he's not that caliber of guy. They're asking him to do a lot more offensively, especially as a passer. He doesn't have Shane Steichen to lean on anymore. So you're seeing him make a lot of the mistakes. Shane Steichen was able to make him appear that he was a lot further along in his progression than he really was. So I listened to, all season of how he was just going to run away with the MVP, how he was the best quarterback in the NFC. Right now, Jared Goff is that guy so far.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think we're kind of seeing the reality of what Philadelphia looks like now that they have lost both of their coordinators. Both of them. They haven't looked the same on either side of the ball.
Agreed.
And
And
You
they
know, it's
lost,
just
I don't think Jalen Carter played, and
no,
Jalen
he didn't.
Carter was having a pretty solid start to his NFL
Yeah,
career as well.
and here's the thing: he'll be back, right?
Hmm.
Which will be a boost for them. But they got some teams coming up that like Jalen Hurts is going to have to play his best ball, or they're going to lose. They can lose easily 3 or 4 of the next 5 games
Yeah,
because they're going to play. They play Miami next week. The way that secondary's been playing,
we know
look,
Miami can run it up.
hey, look, we know Miami they are a race car. They will put it on you. You got to play Miami. They got to play Dallas. I don't care what nobody says. Dallas doesn't have a Philadelphia problem. I say it all the time. They don't. They don't have a Philadelphia problem. They have a everybody else problem. Let's look. They shouldn't have beat the Rams earlier this year. They shouldn't have beat the Rams. That was actually a really good game, most of it. Okay, look, they play the Dolphins next week. Then they play the Commanders, who are going to fight them tooth and nail. Then they play
Who
Dallas.
gave them their first loss last year?
Exactly, and have the defense to give. If you think the Commanders can pick Jalen Hurts off 3 times, Dallas can. Then you got to play. Kansas City, whose defense is playing phenomenal right now. Mm-hmm. Then you got to play Buffalo. Then you got to play San Fran. Then you got to play Dallas again. Then you got to play Seattle. Like this doesn't get any. You're gonna have about 6 or 7 weeks straight of just like hellish competition. So we're gonna see really what Jalen Hurts is made of. But I told people stop overhyping him. But I got called a hater, so I just shut up.
Yeah, he definitely isn't having a great start to the season at all. I think they definitely miss Shane Steichen. But I do think they're going to go through murderer's row. They're going to lose a couple of those games, just point blank period. They're going to. But I still have faith in them. I do think Jalen Hurts will kind of clean it up a little bit. I think if nothing else, they'll lean heavily back into the run. And so I think he'll clean it up a little bit. I think you'll see the turnovers kind of come down a little bit. But they're gonna lose a minimum 2 or 3 of those. That they are.
Minimum, exactly. I agree.
Detroit beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-6. First of all, as you alluded to, right now, after 6 weeks in the NFL season, Jared Goff is the best quarterback in the NFC.
Maybe the NFL.
I was just going to say, I think he's, it may be a little quietly, I think he's putting himself right at the top of that MVP list.
Yeah.
30 for 44, 353, 2 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I mean,
hey, look,
12 for 124 in a tub,
The guy that front offices looked at, they watched his tape and said, "Yeah, he's a 4th-round pick."
Look, and then, right? This defense is playing some fucking ball now.
Oh, okay? Yes, they are.
Like if there was a knock on this team last year, was that the defense, especially up front, was a little suspect.
Not fucking this year.
Aiden Hutchinson is showing you why he was number 2. Aiden Hutchinson's showing you why he was a top, a top pick in the draft. 2, yeah. They're getting after it. You know what I'm saying?
They have a really good
and now they're winning. They're starting to win both lines of scrimmage because they already had arguably one of the best offensive lines in the game, and now the defensive front is starting to match that. And this is a scary team. I had them picked to win the NFC North. I think they're going to run away with that. This could be an NFC Championship team.
I agree. Wholeheartedly.
This is a scary team.
Yeah. You kind of really hit it on the head. They're becoming a contender, and they're one of the teams. I was high on them last year. That's why I'm not hopping off my Patriots pick, because last year y'all laughed at me when I said Detroit was going to be a good football team, and they closed the year out very, very strong.
They are. I seen a stat earlier today. They are 13-3 in their last 16 games.
Exactly. They're playing some great fucking football. And defensively, things have caught up, and offensively, they have such a a consistent formula where they're gonna run the football. Granted, I think David Montgomery got banged up, so he's gonna miss some time moving forward. Which
and Gibbs
hopefully
missed this game. He missed this last game yesterday too.
Yeah, maybe we can see the Jahmyr Gibbs show finally.
But coming back,
coming back. But they have so many weapons offensively. The rookie tight end that they picked out of Iowa, it to me is looking like a steal.
LaPorta,
Sam LaPorta,
right?
Yeah,
every time I look up, he catching a fucking touchdown.
Sam LaPorta. But here's the thing: he's not just doing work as a pass catcher; he's doing work as a blocker as well. So he's looking like he's looking even better than Dalton Kincaid, who went to Buffalo in the first round.
You said Iowa, right? Fucking Iowa tight ends.
Yeah, Iowa tight ends. Hockenson, yeah. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is just putting his name up there with the elite receivers in the league. And we had a Jameson Williams sighting. He finally caught a touchdown. And I think that things are starting to come together for them at the right time. As long as they can stay healthy, I really see a lot of things coming out of this unit. I spoke earlier when you was talking. They have a really good young secondary. These guys, these are some good. And think about this: they're playing so good secondary wise. We're forgetting that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is hurt, and he's trying to come back for them towards the end of the season. That's how good that they're playing. Front seven wise, this is the best year that Alex Anzalone has ever had. He's playing really, really, really good ball. His parents, by the way, shout out to him. His parents just came back from Israel. They made it back home. They were there. Yeah, so that was one of the things that was motivating him. But Alex Anzalone has been like the leader, the unquestioned leader of this defense. And then they have the young kid who I liked, also came out of Iowa.
Jack Campbell.
Yeah. Number 46, who's starting to come along. So this is just a really young physical team, and they have physical and explosive talent on both sides of the football. So they can match up with anybody in the NFL, in my opinion. They're just so multiple in how they can play. Now, that was Detroit. Tampa Bay continues to be better than advertised. I think that they've been playing better than what they currently are talent. Well, now I ain't gonna say talent-wise because they still have some talent, but nobody expected them to be. What are they? 3-3 now?
3-2 because they had a bye week, so they're 3-2.
Yeah, so nobody expected that. So they're still in the race to still be a playoff team. I think Baker Mayfield has been a pleasant surprise for them at quarterback. So we're just going to have to see how that plays out. And maybe they win 9 games. Maybe they win 7.
That's still a winnable division, though. Not 9 wins could win that division.
8, so, the way that some of them looking, 8 wins could probably win that division.
Yeah, so it's still a very winnable division. And I just want to say, Detroit, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, I don't think he'll be there next year. I think
he's a
he
head
gets
coach.
a job. He gets a job next year.
Both of their coordinators are head coaching candidates. Both of them interviewed last year.
Aaron Glenn is the DC, right?
Aaron Glenn, yeah.
Man, it just makes me feel so fucking old when I see guys that I watched play, and now it's like, damn, he finna get head. D'Amico Ryans is fucking head coach. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys that I watched play. You know what I'm saying?
Mark Brunell, I think, is their quarterbacks coach.
Mark Brunell and remember Antoine Randall? I think Antoine Randall is on their. I think he's like the wide receivers coach or something.
That's crazy,
right?
Yeah.
All right. 2 more games. So we're gonna get to the game last night. Ugly game, but Buffalo defeats the Giants 14-9. This was a game that the Giants. You can argue the Giants should have won.
They should have won. Yeah.
You can argue this is a game that the Giants should have won. I was watching this game last night. I'm gonna point right to what happened before halftime. I'm gonna blame Tyrod Taylor for this. They literally had the ball on the 1-yard line with like 14 seconds left. No timeouts, but 1-yard line, 14 seconds left. They go up, and I think Tyrod Taylor audibled out of whatever the original play call was. He hands it off to Saquon Barkley. Obviously, they stuff him, and time runs out. When this is a clear passing situation, they pass the ball. They get 2, maybe 3 cracks at it and still can kick a field goal if need be. And they don't score there, come back at the end of the game, and same situation, I think, on the 1 yard line, and they get stopped at the 1 yard line to end the game. Yeah, once again, this is Buffalo by the hair of their chinny chin chin. They come out with a win on this one. With the Giants, they're 1-5, but they came to play yesterday. Defense played phenomenal. As far as Buffalo goes, as we alluded to earlier, I think they may have found a running back in James Cook. He's running the ball extremely well. And I think that has to be a welcome addition for Josh Allen, who pretty much was their run game for so long. But I just think this team is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We can see them, 1 week go out there and, pretty much, lay foot into Miami Dolphins, a team that at the time, a lot of people thought could possibly been the best team in the NFL. But then there, you can see them come back. And you see them play a game like this, which was just downright ugly. They really didn't have a ton going offensively. And I give the Giants credit for that. You know what I'm saying? They kind of, they got out to Josh Allen in this game. And then I don't know, man. I feel like this is a game where coming into it, they probably should have won this game running away. But I guess, like I said earlier, it's better to win ugly than to lose pretty. And they did get the win, but they can't be too excited about this win.
Buffalo is a team, and we don't have to, stay on this too long. Cowboys game's going to start by 2 minutes. I think Buffalo is a team that is, I've been saying this for a few months now. They're a team that has talent. They're at the end of their window as far as winning the championship. They've had a good 3 or 4 year stretch where you're like, okay, are you guys ever going to do what you need, handle business and go and win a championship for yourselves? And
do you think they moved? Stephon Diggs has been making a lot of noise. Mm-hmm. Let's say this season ends early for them, early playoff exit or whatever. Do you think they shop Stephon?
I could see that. I could see that being a possibility because he's been very vocal about obviously his desire to win and some of the mistakes that they've made in the postseason. Josh Allen played horrible when they lost against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know that was a very frustrating thing because if you look at the talent differential, if you compare both teams, it wasn't like Cincinnati was the more talented football team. They just punched them in the mouth. Yeah. And it was and if I'm understanding, it was in Buffalo, right?
Yeah. And the week before, if I'm not mistaken, the week before, they
almost lost.
Miami with Thompson.
Exactly. With Skylar Thompson. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the frustration is warranted because they have the talent, but they just haven't been able to live up to the team that they should be. So it's very warm. I could see them easily trading Stephon Diggs, moving off him towards the end of the season, but they got to figure something out. Maybe Von Miller comes back and he's the spark that kind of helps them out defensively. I know that they've lost some bodies. And offensively, they're going to have to get some consistency out of Josh Allen because to tell you the truth, even though he threw a touchdown late, he didn't really play great last night against the Giants. He really didn't.
No, he didn't.
He didn't. He played very scattershot. It was just a very ugly game. And as far as the Giants side, just to kind of conclude with this, I'm not out on them yet. I just think that a few things haven't swung their way, but they've been in some good. They should have won that game. To me, when you're on the 1 yard line, why are you not putting the ball in the hands of your best player, which is Saquon Barkley?
Yeah.
You got the guy on a 1 year deal. You might as well live or die by him.
And I think that's why I think, okay, when I alluded to in the first half, that's a clear passing down. Like you got 14 seconds, no timeouts. You're on the 1. You get multiple cracks into the end zone. Mm-hmm. At least 2 cracks at the end zone, and then you still have time to kick the field goal, get you some points. But instead, you get nothing. At the end of that game, though, I'm heading that off. I'm gonna live and die with Saquon. Like you said, he's on a 1 year deal. Either way, you might as well. Yeah, but I think because that happened in the first half, I think now you double back Tyrod wasn't going to audible out of that one. And so I think they were hell bent on, throwing it that time. And I think they tried to hit Waller, I think.
They did. And it was somewhat of a hold, but hell, you just got a call. They're not going to give you 2 calls in a row. Very simple.
Exactly.
So, it was just a ugly game by 2 teams that are on 2 opposite ends of the spectrum. The Giants right now, they don't have the talent in certain areas. And then they're still getting some things figured out at quarterback. And then the Bills, I don't know. I can't tell you what the Bills are. One minute I hear they're a contender, but then when I watch them, I'm like, damn, is this team supposed to be a fucking Super Bowl championship?
You just don't know what team you're going to get.
Every single week I hear it. Exactly. They're Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Word.
Yeah.
All right, man. We're gonna run through these predictions, and I mean run through them because I know the Cowboys about to start in a minute, so we're gonna run through them. Actually, we'll start with tonight's game. So I know who you're picking, but I gotta ask. Dallas Cowboys at the LA Chargers tonight. Cowboys 3-2, Chargers 2-2. Who you got?
Chargers. They'll win 50-3. Dak Prescott will throw 5 interceptions. The defense will allow 500 yards of total offense.
Now, why you now you gonna fuck around and jinx them boys while you BSing that?
Hey, I'm just picking facts. Dak Prescott, one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Defense, we a little overrated. So, hey man, 50-3. Nah, let me stop joking around. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that pick. Let's just go with the Chargers winning.
I think, first of all,
what happened?
Both said, man, stop it, Kenny. So, first of all, I think that Kellen Moore is going to be in his bag tonight. Okay.
Oh, of course.
I think he gonna go deep into this motherfucking playbook, and I think he's gonna make it a point to really try to prove something. With that being said, I think considering the Cowboys play the last time we seen them, I think they're gonna come out very motivated. I think they're gonna play well. Obviously, I don't see Dak throwing another 3 interceptions or whatever. I think he's gonna play well. Ultimately, though, I think this is gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna come down to the wire. And I've been mentioning this. Brandon Staley has been making some bonehead decisions as a head coach. However, in the last couple games, luckily his defense has been able to hold serve and he's been able to get out with a win. I think tonight that finally, comes back to bite them. I think you get into another situation in a close game where Brandon Staley makes a bad decision, and I think this time it actually comes back to bite them. And I think the Cowboys win a close one on the road.
Okay.
So
what's next?
Yeah, there's that. All right. All right. Thursday night game, Jaguars at the Saints. Who you got?
I'm taking Jacksonville.
I'm taking Jacksonville. I'm taking Jacksonville too, man. They got it. Actually, New Orleans is a 3-point favorite.
Fuck out of here.
Maybe because it's in New Orleans. I don't know.
Mm-mm.
They smoking. But you know why? Because they're not sure. It's a quick turnaround, and Trevor, that's what it is.
Okay.
So if Trevor plays, I'm going Jacksonville. Easy. Okay.
You know what? If Trevor doesn't play, I'm going Jacksonville.
Nah, I can't do that.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
In the mid bowl, the Las Vegas Raiders at the Chicago Bears.
Chicago.
I'm gonna help you out. No.
Oh, he's not.
They said he's pretty. The right thumb. They said he's doubtful. They already said he's doubtful for Sunday. I'm gonna help you out. We're gonna go with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Chicago.
Okay.
I'm taking Chicago.
Hashtag Caleb Williams. Okay. All right. Moving on. Interesting game here. Cleveland Browns at the Indianapolis Colts. Who you got?
I think this is going to be a game where you see Indianapolis win. I just feel like, I don't know if they're going to be able to duplicate that type of overall team performance and kind of catch that many breaks. Granted, they beat a really good team. They beat a giant in San Francisco 49ers. But, let's not doubt Shane Steichen and the Colts' ability to bounce back. They have actually a pretty good defense themselves, and Gardner Minshew is not going to give you 3 picks again. He'll be good. They'll be good. I'm gonna take.
Yeah, I think Gardner Minshew does play better. I just think this is going to be a ugly game, and in a game such as this, I think I'm going to take what I think is the better defense in the Cleveland Browns. So I think you might see a 13-9 game, but I think Cleveland comes out with the win. I think they go to 4-2. Buffalo Bills at the New England Patriots.
I'm not gonna lie. After what I seen last night, I might take the New England Patriots. After what I seen last night, I think I'm gonna take New England. I'm going with it.
I should have been writing these picks down. Yeah, I'm going with Buffalo. New England's almost as bad as my Bears. I'm going with Buffalo.
Okay.
And what is it? Buffalo 8.5, and I'm taking the points.
That's fair.
Washington Commanders at the New York Giants.
I'm gonna take the Commanders. I just think they're the better team on both sides of the football. And defensively, they have the bodies to put on Darren Waller to slow them down. They got the front seven to slow down Saquon Barkley. I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna take the Commanders. I think it'll probably be something like 24-10.
Bro, you silly, man. I'm actually going to take the Commanders as well. I think they're just a better team right now. I'm not sure if Daniel Jones will be back for this game, so they might be coming back with Tyrod Taylor. I think they're going to get another heavy dose. I think the Giants are going to try to give another heavy dose of Saquon Barkley, so you might see them get 30 touches or so. But I just think the Commanders are the better team right now, and I think they're starting to make strides in the right direction. I think they get over 500 next week and get to 4-3. Divisional game, good one here. Atlanta Falcons at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This could have this could be big as far as the division goes.
Tampa Bay. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. They're a really efficient team. Granted, they have issues running the football, but I think defensively they're going to, just as much as I think that Atlanta's going to give Tampa Bay and that offense promise, I think Tampa Bay's defense is going to cause some hell for Desmond Ridder. And I think you'll see him make a slew of mistakes that will ultimately cause him to lose that game.
I couldn't agree more. The game's in Tampa Bay as well, and I couldn't agree more. I think you're going to see Tampa Bay's defense kind of get after Ridder, and I think you might see him throw another, two interception game or so. And I think Tampa Bay comes out on top as well. That'll put them at 4-2. Who would have thought?
Exactly.
Okay, really, really good game here. Bo, I know you listening up. Detroit Lions at the Baltimore Ravens. Really good game here. Two really great teams. Who you got?
I'm taking Detroit. I think Detroit is the more complete football team right now. They will have some issues with Lamar Jackson. I'm not going to deny that, but I believe that they have the offensive line to run the football. They have the offensive line to protect Jared Goff, and I don't think a person in that secondary. Okay, I don't think a person in that secondary matches up well with Amon St. Brown. I think he's gonna be a matchup nightmare for them. I don't think that they have a body to really put on him like that. So, don't be surprised. Ben Johnson's gonna get into his bag. I think the Ravens are definitely gonna fight them back. I'm not saying it's gonna be a big. I think it's probably gonna be a very close game, 3-6 points. But I just think the Lions are the more complete team, and I could argue that they're the more physical team. Did y'all see that block by Craig Reynolds?
I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. I honestly couldn't. But this game is in Baltimore, and call me crazy, these are just the type of games that Lamar Jackson figures out a way to win. If they were playing a middle team or a bottom feeder team, they play down to them. But these are just the type of games that Lamar finds a way to win. And I almost verbatim agree with Bo. I think it's a close game. You get down the stretch. I think Lamar Jackson has a drive at the end of the game. I think Tucker kicks some long 90-some yard field goal. And I think Baltimore squeezes out with a win.
How many
Pittsburgh
games?
Steelers.
How many games we got left?
Just like 4 or 5. Pittsburgh Steelers at the LA Rams.
That's tough. Because as much as I want to take Pittsburgh, the Rams have been very sneaky about some of the. They've been very sneakily good at how of the things that they're doing on offense. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go to Rams. I think that they're the better team as a whole. You're starting to see them get some consistency in a running game, and defensively, they're actually very formidable defensively as well. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Rams, and I think the King.
He's just saying you ready to see this Cowboys game. That's all.
I am. I really am.
You say you taking the Rams. I think I'm gonna take the Rams as well. Although the Steelers are coming off a bye week, they've been really anemic offensively, and as great as I think their defense is, offensively, I'm just not sure that they can muster up enough points, because I think Sean McVay is going to find a way to get to maybe 20 points, and that might be enough for this game. So the game's in LA. I'm going with the Rams as well. Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks.
Arizona Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take Seattle, but that's going to be a tight game because Arizona is feisty. Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle. I think it'll be a 3-point game, but prepare for a dogfight.
Yeah, I'm going to take Seattle as well. I think Seattle will probably get a late turnover to kind of seal the game there, because they will be a dogfight, but I'm going to take Seattle as well. Green Bay Packers at the Denver Broncos.
Green Bay by far, and I think this will be a game where you see Jordan Love kind of bounce back and kind of get back into his bag. I can see Christian Watson having a big game. I don't know if they're gonna put Pat Surtain on him. Hopefully they do. If they do, then yeah. But I could see this is gonna be a win by Green Bay.
Well, I gotta pick one upset a week, and this is my one. Don't ask me why. I'm going with the Denver Broncos.
You just taking it just for the hell of it.
I gotta pick one, and literally that's it. All right, 3 more games left. Sorry. This Sunday, LA Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. Another big divisional matchup.
I'm gonna take the Chiefs. I'll be honest. I don't have, even though the Chiefs have questions, they're gonna have to give me a reason to doubt them.
I agree.
And right now, I don't think the Chargers are. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Chargers stick to they blow the Cowboys out by 40 some odd points. And then there you go, fumble.
I'm not a let me hurry up. I'm not a big fan of I'm not a big fan of Brandon Staley. I already said I think that he's gonna lose this game tonight. I think they'll go there, lose to Kansas City. Now you're looking up, and if they lose tonight, lose to Kansas City. Now you're looking at 2-4. Don't be surprised if they start calling for his head mid-season. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Tony Pollard. Oh, okay. Looked like he had just fumbled, but I think it's not.
Dolphins at Eagles.
My bad, y'all. Dolphins at Eagles. Oh, I'm taking the Dolphins in that game. I think that offense, I think it's going to be a very tall task for that secondary to cover Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I mean, they allow points, man. Like, they allow points, they allow yards. They're not a very, very good unit right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, the thing about the Dolphins are kind of like Golden State Warriors. When they score in bunches, and it becomes like, I don't know, it just becomes a marathon. And next thing you know, it's touchdown after touchdown, big play after big play, and they feed off of that stuff. So I'm gonna take the Dolphins, and I think it's probably gonna be a 10 to 15 point win.
Ooh. That's fair. The game is in Philly. I just didn't like what I seen from the Dolphins when they played the last time they played a team that was pretty equivalent to them, and when they played the Buffalo Bills. That game was on the road. This game is on the road as well. I think the Eagles really lean heavily on the run game. I think you see Jalen Hurts with more design runs. I think you see DeAndre Swift get some runs, and it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a little bit of a dogfight, but I'll say maybe 23-20 Philly. Last game on the docket, 49ers at the Minnesota Vikings.
have to look at what these injuries, the way I have to look at what some of these injuries are going to look like as far as Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. If one of those players are out, I might just go with Minnesota. They've been playing a little bit better at defense, and they'll be out Justin Jefferson. But I'm a firm believer in Jordan Addison and some of the things that he can do. What was the side?
No, so are you going with Minnesota?
You know what? One upset, I'll take Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going with the Niners. I think even with some of the pieces missing, I think that they'll have enough to win this game. I think defensively they'll find a way to kind of slow Minnesota down, especially without Jay Jettis. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Niners in that one. And there it is, guys. There you have our picks. So stay on the lookout. NBA preseason has already started. The NBA season starts October 24th. So stay on the lookout. Y'all, catch the Facebook pages, catch the Instagram pages. I'm gonna aim for Friday afternoon, evening time-ish. I'm gonna do an NBA 2023-2024 NBA preview for this season. So I'm gonna go ahead and tackle it. A lot of crazy storylines. Obviously, we know some of the moves, some of the trades. Season's right around the corner. So I'm gonna do an NBA preview. So y'all stay on the lookout for that. Rooted in Sports. We're gonna do that preview, and then me and Kenny will be right back. Not this Monday, but the following
Monday. Yes,
we will be right back. So that'll be October 30th, I believe. We'll be right back. Yes, that'll be October 30th. We'll be right back like we left some. Obviously the Sports Exclusive podcast.
Oh,
you got it.
Debuting the first week of November. So I get an exact date. This should be the first Wednesday of November. But we'll have. I don't know if we're gonna drop 8 episodes in the beginning, but it'll probably be 4. At least you guys will get at least 4 on the front end. So yeah, stay tuned.
Most definitely be on the lookout for that.
My bad, guys. I'm over here watching this game.
Give us each a follow on Instagram. I am iswan_0623. You got King Tiberius 519 on Instagram, and then obviously you can follow the Rooted in Sports Instagram page, just simply at Rooted in Sports. Also, you can give us a like and subscribe to us on YouTube at Rooted in Sports as well. And yeah, that's it. Like I said, be on the lookout. I'll be right back later this week with an NBA preview. We'll be right back October 30th. Right back with more NFL coverage. You might even sneak in a little NCAA coverage, man, because there's been some hot games going on there as well.
Oh yeah, we got a lot to catch up on.
But yeah, other than that, man, it's always fun, always a pleasure. Until next time, much love. God bless. Swan Don, King Tiberius.
See you guys
next
time.
Out.
All right.